You need to ask yourself, who are the kind of people that surround you? In what environment, in what community do you find yourself in? Who are you sharing those failure stories? Who are you sharing them with? Who is your mentor? It actually goes a long way in helping you to bounce back. Because if you find yourself in a wrong community, if you find yourself with the wrong people, there is a possibility that they would influence you bouncing back. Some people would say, do not bother, do not go ahead. This is not for you. Some people will just laugh at you and said, oh, you are a joker. Do you think it's child's play? Some people are not even there to motivate you. The worst thing you can do to yourself now is to quit. You might have failed in that business. You have spent so much money. You have taken so much or so many risks and you failed. You've spent so many years putting these plans together. You have tried, you have done your best. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if there is just one penny in your bank account. It doesn't matter how many times you have been rejected. It doesn't matter if you have been turned down. It doesn't matter if that marriage is not working. Failure can be tough on anyone. It is tough. It's always very difficult to handle. But you see, that you have failed does not mean that you are a failure. And if you quit, that does not make it good. That does not change anything. So you do not want to quit. If this is you today, you have tried so much, you have put in so much effort, you have tried to reach out to people to get mentors, you have ticked all the boxes, and yet you fail. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you on bouncing back after failure. I want you to wait to the end of this episode. If this is you, if this is where you find yourself, you feel that you have made so much effort and yet you failed. You see, the interesting thing or the good news is that it might just be the beginning of your path to success. It might just be that path or that learning that you need to achieve on your path to success. If you don't know me, I am Bola Adeyeye Omishade, and this is the Bola Adeyeye Omishade Show. It is a community where we support people to be the best version of ourselves. So if this is the first time you're joining us, thanks for joining. You're welcome to join our community. Do not forget to subscribe and also click on the notification button. Okay, thank you. That means a lot to me. And also, thanks to my returning viewers. I am appreciative and I am grateful for your consistent support. I hope you have found every episode very useful. Now, if you know somebody or it is you and that you're struggling to bounce back, you're struggling to put yourself together after failed efforts, I want you to wait to the end of this episode because failure is it's a path to success. Failure is a journey to success. If you have failed, it only demonstrates that you have taken that step. You could have just sat down and not taken that risk. You could have sat down and not made that effort. But because you have failed, it demonstrates that you're resilient. It demonstrates that you're bold. It demonstrates that you have the courage to take that step. However, if you find yourself in a place where you're not able to bounce back, it starts with your belief and your attitude towards failure. How do you see failure? And what is your belief? So the moment you fail, you need to sit down and look at it from a point of an opportunity to get feedback, an opportunity to learn something new. I was listening to someone and he said, somebody else failed 1,000 times, and he said, "Oh, how did you manage failing 1,000 times?" And he said, "I didn't fail 1,000 times. It was only an opportunity to do things in 1,000 different ways." So if you have failed, you want to actually harvest what that learning curve is. You have made effort to invest, to sow a seed. And that is the step in putting the plans together to take those risks, to apply for that job. But you need to harvest that knowledge, that thing that is inside that failure. But then those actually comes from your belief of failure. How do you see failure? Do you see failure as, oh, I am a failure, I can't succeed, I can't pass this exam, I can't study? Is that how you see failure? Have you tried it? And then people said it's not going to work. Your customers have not bought. You need to ask yourself, what is that learning opportunity? What is that thing in this failure that I need to learn? And how can you do that? It is if you consistently remind yourself that I have failed. This is the attitude I want to have towards this failure. And this is the belief I have about this failure. It is a path to me succeeding. It is a journey to my success and an opportunity for me to learn something new. One interesting thing I would like to share with you is failure demonstrates that you're resilient. The ability for you to bounce back demonstrates that you are courageous. The ability for you to pick up the pieces and use it as an opportunity to learn something new. You see, people are always very interested to listen to your failures. How many of you have noticed that when you share like failures on it's just a trend, maybe on the social media, you get a lot of likes, you get a lot of comments, oh, sorry, blah 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 blah. But when you put like success stories and all that, only very few people would comment, because people want to listen to your failures to motivate themselves, to make themselves feel better. So why don't you convert your failures into feedback, and also tell yourself that whatever, anybody can say whatever they like. Anybody is free to think about what, interpret my failure in whatever way. But for me, failure is my part to succeeding. And for every time I fail, I'm going to bounce back. For those of you that have children, when you see them, when the kids, when they start walking, you see them, they take the first step and then they fall. And then they take the next two steps and then they fall. And then they fall multiple times. But then they eventually get there. And that is how I want you to start looking at your failures. I want you to start looking at your failures in that way. So change your belief. That is the first thing. Now, the second thing I want to say to you in regards to bouncing back is you need to ask yourself, who are the kind of people that surround you? In what environment, in what community do you find yourself in? Who are you sharing those failure stories? Who are you sharing them with? Who is your mentor? It actually goes a long way in helping you to bounce back. Because if you find yourself in a wrong community, if you find yourself with the wrong people, there is a possibility that they would influence you bouncing back. Some people would say, do not bother, do not go ahead. This is not for you. Some people will just laugh at you and said, oh, you are a joker. Do you think it's child's play? Some people are not even there to motivate you. Some people just want to laugh at your failure. So wherever you find yourself, the community you find yourself goes a long way in influencing how you bounce back. And that is what some people always miss. They tend to miss that part of saying that you need to position yourself appropriately in order to bounce back after failure. You need people that would motivate you, people that would encourage you, people that you aspire to be like. That is where you want to find yourself if you want to successfully bounce back after failure. Failure is a stepping stone to success. It is about what you learn on your way to succeed. And you need to constantly remind yourself that I am failing to succeed. You need to constantly remind yourself that for every time I fail, I need to get up. And this has to be something that you need to drive yourself to do. Honestly, if you feel somebody is going to help you to bounce back, I'm very sorry. No one can help you to bounce back because it needs to start with you. You have to push yourself. It doesn't really come easy. It's okay. I always like to say that it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel bad. It's okay to reflect. It's okay to, weigh those things that have gone wrong. But you see, you have to push yourself. That can be very, very hard. Very, very hard. And that's what one of the things people fail to say. It seems very easy, or you get lots of people, like you might say this is also a motivation, sort of a way. But even after watching this, you need to push yourself. You might just listen to this and you listen through one ear and it gets out of the other ears. But the truth is, you have to push yourself to bounce back. And that can be very, very hard. Always remind yourself that for every time I fail, I need to remember that there is light at the end of the tunnel. For every time you fail, you need to look at the bigger picture of what you want to achieve in future. For every time you fail, you need to, while you're getting up, while you're bouncing back, you need to pick up and harvest those things that you need to learn in the process because it is part of the process. So if this is you and you have failed maybe in your education, did you get feedback? Did anyone give you feedback? So I want you to convert that failure into an opportunity to get feedback from other people. Look at it that it's an opportunity to get feedback on things that you have done wrongly. Then you would not begin to see it as failure. That would help you to keep going because you begin to see it as you submitting an exam paper and getting a feedback from your lecturer. So always ask yourself, what is the learning that I need to get? What is the feedback that I need to get from this process? And importantly, you need to take action. And that action is pushing yourself. Pick those things you have invested and use it in the process of moving forward. Do not let anybody discourage you. Do not compare yourself to other people. Your story is different from my story. If I share my story with you, that is my story. It is personal to me. It is not your story. Your story can be different. And most importantly, people will only share with you what they want you to hear. So be very careful when you begin to compare where you are with where other people are. You don't know their story. You don't know how many times they have failed. You don't know how many times they have been courageous to pick up the pieces to move on. So you cannot compare yourself to other people. You cannot listen to my story and think it's the same thing as yours. You don't know how many times I have failed. So be very, very careful. In the process of bouncing back, we can get easily carried away by comparing ourselves to other people, and that will weigh us down. That will make us see ourselves as failures. Be very careful. In summary, I would like to repeat those things I've said. The first thing I said is, what is your belief and attitude towards failure? How are you seeing failure? And secondly, in what environment do you find yourself? Who have you spoken to? Who is that person that is motivating you? Secondly, what is that thing that that quality or that learning curve, that feedback that needs to come out from that failure. And lastly, do not compare yourself. Do not compare your story to other people. If you agree with me, if you think these are you have gone through failed experiences and how you have actually come out from those failures, I want you to share your experience in the comment, because unfortunately, so many people have great dreams. So many people have great opportunities, but because they have failed once, because they have failed twice, they have given up on themselves. They've given up on those big dreams. Share your story so that they can pick some useful experiences from that, remembering that you should not compare yourself to other people. Learn from them, learn from their experiences as opposed to comparing yourself to them. So please, in the comment, I want to hear from you. And if you feel somebody needs to hear this, please feel free to share it with them. Share it with them so that we can all be the best and a better version of ourselves. And as usual, if you have questions, do not forget to use the email on the screen. And if you have found this very useful, um, give it a thumbs up. And thanks for joining me. Thanks for taking time to watch this. This is the Bola Adeyeye Omishade Show, and I'll see you next week. Bye.